What's up everybody, it is Dankamyouknow and I am back with another video, and what I'm going to be doing today is an overview of everything I have done to my HP Omen 25L. I still get a lot of questions about how I get my temperatures down and things you should be doing when you first get the computer, so I just kind of wanted to make a video that covered all of it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Thank you guys for almost 500 subscribers. I appreciate all the support recently, and please join our Discord group, which is linked down below and in the pinned comment. So as far as physical modifications go, there are a few things that I have done. And the first one's going to be, when you first get your Omen, you are going to see a cable that is dangling out of this spot right here and is labeled RGB fan. And what you're going to do is just disregard that cable, and then I just tucked it behind here so it is out of sight. I'm not sure what it plugs into, but there's no spot on the motherboard for it, and all Omens have it, so just go ahead and disregard it. And the second and probably most important modification that I have made to the computer is going to be, when you get your Omen, it's going to have this bracket at the top, and you can see how you can see through this bracket with these two holes. There's two on that side as well, but when you get the computer, those are going to be in place, so it's basically blocking any airflow from traveling outward. So you can either A, remove this Phillips head and that Phillips head and remove the bracket completely, or you could take the bracket, punch out the four holes. Let's see if I can point to them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Punch out those holes and you can mount a 120 millimeter fan. And with that fan, it is Y-split into the system fan header, with my rear fan. Now this fan is a 92 millimeter Noctua fan, and this is a 120 millimeter Noctua fan. And they are both the Chromax edition. So they are both black, and both are set up as exhaust fans. And if you move to the bottom, I have also added a 120 millimeter fan at the bottom. And this is just sitting down here. It's basically sitting in between this cable bracket right here, this kind of like cable management bracket, and it's sitting between the power supply. But it does have a nice wedge and it doesn't really move too much, so I just leave it as is. But I know a lot of people use either double-sided tape or some kind of adhesive to keep this down to the bottom. And this is set up as an intake blowing up. And then I have also added a front mount fan. So this was the fan that was in the back when I first got the computer. It is the HP one. So I have double-sided tape, and you can kind of see the tape right there if I get way in there. So there's the tape. It's just double-sided tape to the front here. And then this fan is set up as an intake, so it is blowing this way. So that fan and the bottom mount fan are now Y-split into the system fan header, and it's going to be that one right there. Now I know your Omen motherboard may look a little bit different from mine. I know some of the connectors are going to be down here, right in this area. You just got to see which one works for your board. And then I would only recommend using the LC pump header if you are indeed adding some kind of 120 millimeter liquid CPU cooler. But other than that, those are the only modifications that I have made to the case. And one more thing I forgot to add is that this hard drive that is now in the lower slot was up here. So I just moved it from here down to here, and it didn't really have an advantage. The only reason I did it is because I knew I was going to add a fan here, and I thought this may act as maybe like an air chamber for air to kind of go in this way and then come out the fan. But it's not really necessary. I may change it back, but I kind of like the way it looks, so I'm just going to leave it as is. So when you first get your computer, the most important thing you're going to probably want to do is to update your drivers. And how you're going to do that is you're going to come down to the start menu, and you're going to right click, and you're going to go up to Device Manager. And within Device Manager, you're going to see all the components for the computer. And the most important driver to probably update when you first get it is going to be under display adapters, and it is going to be your graphics card. It should be listed here. And what you're going to do is right click, and you're going to go to properties. Then within properties, you're going to click the driver tab, and it's going to show you the current version of that driver. And then through here, you can click update driver, and it'll either search your computer for the update if it's there for some reason, or it will do an internet search for the most up-to-date driver. And then once you're done updating the driver, let's just say you have an issue after you install the driver and the computer's acting funny for some reason you notice right after the driver update, you can revert back to this menu, and you're going to roll back driver. And it says, if the device fails after updating the driver, roll back to the previously installed driver. So like in my case, I have an AMD graphics card, and I just updated to the newest driver that AMD offers, but it makes my screen flicker while I am in game. So I noticed it right after I did the update. So I came back to this screen and I clicked rolled back driver, and it went to the previous version, which I have not seen an issue with. So I'm just going to leave it there until AMD comes out with a fix for the newest driver. So once you update your graphics card, you can literally go through all of these and then just make sure that everything is currently up to date as far as drivers go. So as soon as you're all done updating the computer as far as drivers go, the first and probably the most beneficial settings adjustment I have made to the computer is going to be within your settings. And you're going to come up to System, and then down to Power and Sleep. And then within Additional Power Settings, your plan is going to be on Balanced, and now you can just go ahead and leave it there. But what you're going to do is go into Change Plan Settings. Now I have mine set up to turn off the display after 30 minutes, and I never put my computer to sleep. Boot times with the M.2 SSDs are so fast that I usually just turn off the computer each time I'm not using it, especially for an extended period of time, instead of putting it to sleep. But what you're going to want to do is go into Change Advanced Power Settings. Then within your power options, you're going to come down to Processor Power Management, and within your minimum and maximum processor state, you're going to change your minimum to 5%, and you're going to change your maximum from 100% down to 99. So basically when it's at 100, your CPU is running at max boost clock at all times. So the CPU is basically running, full bore at all times when it's at 100%. Now when it's at 99%, it still runs just as good. I have noticed 0 performance loss, but it has dropped my temperatures by up to 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. And while I'm in game, while the processor state is at 100, I've noticed no FPS drop when I go down to 99. And it seems like the processor works just as hard at 99, but the temperature goes down drastically. So I'd highly recommend you at least try this out and see if it works for you, because it has worked for my AMD Ryzen processors. So change those two, then go ahead and click Apply, and then go ahead and click OK. All right, so we have updated all of our drivers, and we have changed our minimum and maximum processor state. Now the next thing you might want to consider doing is go to your Omen Command Center, and let's let this load up. Healing tanks, smelting ore. You're going to click on your Omen desktop down here, and it's going to show you all your vitals and stuff here. And let's see, what you're going to do is go into fan control, and then I would recommend changing your fan speed up to turbo. Now it will make them a little bit louder, but I would rather have a louder system and cooler temperatures than quiet fans and hotter temperatures. So just go ahead and change this to turbo, and go ahead and exit out of there. So the last adjustment I made to my CPU is that I actually undervolted my CPU. Now this doesn't apply to Intel users, so I'll leave a little time note right here of the next section to skip to. But if you have an AMD Ryzen processor, you're going to want to go ahead and download the program AMD Ryzen Master. And click OK. And first of all, this is probably going to be your most accurate temperature reading. Now, Omen Control doesn't seem to be as close, and this program is actually made by AMD, so I'll go off this temperature first. And this temperature makes sense because I'm running my capture software, my webcam, Discord's open, YouTube's open right now. I have a couple of browsers on Chrome, so that's probably the accurate temperature. But what you're going to do is, you'll notice profile 2, this is how your computer's going to come out of the factory. It's going to be at 1.33 125 volts, and each core is at 3600. Now what I have done to mine is I lowered my peak core voltage to 1.25 and changed each core frequency to 3900. And I've noticed a little bit of an FPS boost, maybe like 1 to 3 FPS difference. And then I've noticed a 1 to 3 difference in temperature. So what you can do is you're going to apply a profile like this and just make small adjustments at a time if you're planning on doing this. Now you don't have to, and I understand why you may be a little bit afraid to change anything within the processor. But what you can do is you can click apply and test, and this basically stress tests the CPU at these settings. And if Ryzen Master doesn't like it, if it's not stable, it'll automatically revert back to the old settings. So there's no chance in harming your system. So you click apply and test, and if it works properly, just go ahead and then click apply, and that's all you're going to do in Ryzen Master. So that's going to do it as far as CPU adjustments go. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to your graphics card and how to keep it as cool as possible, and that's going to be with a program called MSI Afterburner. And MSI Afterburner is going to come with Riva Tuner Statistics Server, so make sure you download both when you download Afterburner. But in the program, you're going to go ahead and go into your settings. And then within the fan tab, you're going to go ahead and click this, and you're basically going to set up your own fan curve for your graphics card. Now you can see based off my graph that no matter what temperature the GPU is at, it's going to be at a minimum of 30%, and that it shows it in the program right here. It's at 30% right now. And you can see once it gets to 50 degrees, it's still going to stay at 30, but once it gets up to 60, you can see it's going to be at 40%. And once it gets closer to 70, it's going to go up to 50%. Now this will make the GPU fan a little bit louder, but like I said earlier, you're going to want your temperatures to be as cool as possible rather than worrying about a system that may be a little bit noisy. I'd much rather have the cooler temperatures. So this seems to be a really good fan curve. So if you want, you can just go ahead and try this one out and see how it affects your temperatures. And then also with MSI Afterburner, if you come into monitoring, you can set your on-screen display. So in the top left corner of games and in certain programs, you can list the vitals that you want listed. And I have mine set up so it's GPU temp, CPU temp, fan speed, and frame rate. And you're basically just going to click on each one, click the check mark, and then down here you're going to click show on-screen display. And then I'll give you an example of what that looks like. So even in my AMD Radeon software, you can see my vitals right here. So GPU temperature, CPU temperature, and then your frame rate, and then also my fan speed. And if you want to adjust how this looks, you can open Riva Tuner Statistics, and then you can make all your adjustments here. But you can see right there, that is how I can make it so it's absolutely enormous if I wanted to. So you can see it boosted up quite a bit, but I like mine like, where is it? Probably like right there. That's pretty good. And that does it as far as MSI Afterburner and Riva Tuner Statistics goes. So it's a bit of a longer video, but that is everything that I have done to my Omen. And with all those adjustments and the fan additions, I'm seeing temperatures at idle between 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, and under full load while gaming, usually anywhere from 55 to 60. And even while I was streaming in 1440p, so with my capture device open, with my stream open, and even playing music at the same time, the hottest I saw my CPU get up to was about 65 degrees, which is definitely well within the safe temperatures. So with all these adjustments, my computer's running fantastic, and I don't believe I can get any better at the moment, just short of replacing the CPU cooler. Well, I hope this video was helpful. If it is informative, please consider subscribing and liking the video. And if you dislike it, that is fine. Just let me know what I can do better in future videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a great day.